Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hi everyone, hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're fit, healthy and strong, and appreciating life for the opportunity that it is. So in tonight's video offering, I would like to take on a challenge to myself. And I'm not too sure whether I will be able to deliver. But I genuinely feel that I need to. I would not feel authentic if I did not attempt it. And so I don't write. I don't script. I think you'd be able to tell by the style of the episodes that I produce. I don't really script or write anything. I have an idea, obviously, a direction, and I go. And very often end up somewhere I had not planned. But throughout that process, I'm just very grateful to very often get from a start to a finish. But today I don't know. I don't know whether I will succeed. All I know is that I must try. So the topic for today is the lessons or reflections I have felt and picked up on the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him's life. So tonight, this particular night when I'm recording this, according to the Islamic calendar as interpreted by my tribe, is the very night of the Prophet Muhammad's death. So this would have been his last night, and the day after, during the day, he would have passed away. So I just want to share with you, and before I even go there, I think many of us today are afraid to speak about this man. And I think we're afraid for all the wrong reasons. Either we don't think we're good enough to speak about him, or if we do speak about him, it just comes across as very, how should I put it? It comes across as very surface, dare I say. This is just my humble opinion. I do not force it on other people, but when most people talk about the Prophet Muhammad, for me, I just hear it at a very surface level. They'll tell you when he was born, what he did. He was a prophet, the last prophet of all prophets, and the list goes on. But a lot of the things I hear, I don't feel, if that makes sense. And then obviously you have the sensitivity of it. You take one wrong move when you speak about this person, and you will have hell unleashed upon you. So I think there's a good reason why a lot of people are very afraid of the topic. I today speak freely from a place of duty, and I hope something comes out of it. My intention is to honor. My intention is to honor this individual, this man, this unique, never seen before mercy upon all humans, Muslim and non. And I think it's important, before I continue, to state that I have absolutely no intention of convincing you, getting into an argument about what is right or what isn't right. I simply have something that I don't even know of that wants to flow out, and I'm going to go with that. So, as a child, the Prophet Muhammad was orphaned very young. His father passed away, and there's a whole story of things happening before he was born, during his birth, and after. I'm just going to give you some highlights that stick to my mind and my heart. I distinctly remember reading and feeling the fact that growing up as an orphan in a very strict society, where your father and your father's presence was pretty much the hierarchy of the day. So this is a person that was, shall we say, a cast aside, a cast aside example. So, because his father wasn't there as a kid, he was looked on as a downcast, so to speak. Although he had very noble family connections, but his father wasn't there, so therefore he was very much a weak link. And he grew up with that placed on his a shadow that was placed upon him from a very, very young age, to grow up without a father. He also grew up spending a lot of time as a young man alone. So there are many things that he saw in his society at the time. Arabia at the time was a very backward place. And he saw a lot of injustice during that time. And it is known that he spent a lot of time meditating in a cave. Now, I find this very interesting from a mythical point of view. If you read a lot of mythology, there's always a cave that is in a story. And to enter into the darkness of a cave and to meditate there holds a tremendous amount of meaning to me. So I resonate whenever I read about the stories of the Prophet Muhammad meditating in Ghar Hira, the cave of Hira. I always feel a connection to that somehow. So during the time of his youth, he would see a lot of social injustice. And he was known before he even knew he was a prophet. I believe he became a prophet at the age of 40, if I'm not mistaken. But even before then, he was known to be a just man. He was known to be a fair kind of dude. So whenever anyone had a dispute, they would always go to this particular person to solve it. And maybe in your life you have somebody like that. You and your friend have a disagreement. You're like, okay, let's squash this. Let's go over to you know who. He's a fair kind of guy. He wouldn't make a decision that was in my favor or in your favor. He'd just speak the truth. Let's go to him. So this was the person in that community that people went to solve issues that had justice involved. He would dispense justice. He would explain in a very soft and kind manner what the right thing to do was. When he became a prophet, and it was made known to him that this was his responsibility, a lot of pain was involved. And this is something we don't get taught in school. And I've picked up through reading alternate sources of information. The amount of pain this man had to go through to do what he had to do to make the people around him and the society around him more human was unreal. Legend says that God, or whatever you want to call God, I'll call him Allah, you can call him what you want or not. They say that God sent 124,000 prophets, not all of which are mentioned in the Quran. Some are, like the Prophet Isa, Musa, Ibrahim. We have a very specific list that's mentioned in the Quran, but not all 124,000 prophets. And some of these prophets were on earth at the same time, and they helped each other. The exception to this, according to the stories that I've come across, the exception to this is the Prophet Muhammad, who was the sealer of the prophets, the only one that was ultimately alone and responsible not to spread the message to a particular group of people, but all mankind. Many of the prophets were given a specific designated zone or a specific designated tribe. This prophet was for all of mankind. Black, white, Asian, African, the whole globe. And for this man to do what he did, at the time he did it in, involved a tremendous amount of pain. I mean, when people say, oh, I wish I would have the life of the Prophet Muhammad, I really don't think, if you're wishing that, I really don't think you understand what this man had to go through. Because if you did, you wouldn't wish that. You wouldn't wish that for 1 second, to carry the burden that this man did. Let me try and give you some examples. So one of the things he was very clear on to many people was the rights of animals. Okay, so he would say it is wrong to put a burden on a camel that is beyond a certain measure. Now, to people at the time, the camels were the main source of transportation. Mecca, where the Prophet Muhammad is from, his home city, is a trading city. They made their money through trade. So for him to tell people, you shouldn't put too much burden on this camel, is received on the other end of saying, but how am I supposed to trade? You're telling me I shouldn't make this amount of profits and this amount of money. So you can honestly see, and for what? Because you think this animal has feelings? It's just an animal. But just imagine a person telling a trader, a cutthroat businessman, if you will, today, or businesswoman, that you can't abuse animals because these animals have feelings. These animals have emotions. They get tired. They need rest. They need to be kept in a clean quarter. This animal has rights. And to tell people back then that was the case was a threat. It was a threat to their livelihood. On top of that, the Arabs at the time had a habit, as many people in the world do, not just the Arabs, of marrying multiple wives. And the Prophet Muhammad said there's a limit to that and conditions to marrying more than one woman. And again, massive, I mean, these are traditions that are as old as time for the Arabs, and for this son of an orphan to come and speak to the elders of the community was insulting to them. Who are you to tell us who to marry? You're here to tell us how much to trade. You're here to tell us who to marry. Who the hell are you? Who on earth are you to even say these things to us? But despite that, he did not stop. He went on, and what really, I think, one of the many things that I think caused a tremendous amount of pain on him was when he was saying that all mankind is equal. Whether you are black, whether you are white, whether you are yellow, you are the same. And you have the same rights. And the only difference that there is with races and nationalities is the content of your heart. Now, this is over 1,444 or 45 years ago. We still have racial issues today. You think that the civil rights movement in the United States ended in 1965? We still have issues today. Police officers in the States beating up on some poor black kid because he's just hanging about a corner a bit too long. We still have issues of that today, and this is a man over 1,400 years ago saying that is wrong and that should stop. I'll tell you another thing that might have to stop is the video. 15 minutes is the limit that I get to publish on the sources there. I hope it's okay with you. I'm going to do a part 2 of this because I ain't stopping. I'm just going to flow with it because there's a lot more to say. So see you real soon, inshallah.